It was past midnight when they reached her home, a small house hidden on the inward curve of a narrow road, situated on the gentle slopes of a wooded hill. From the passenger seat of the car, Addison could not bring herself to fully face him, and through her shy smile she nervously asked if he would like to come in for a drink. It had never been in his nature to feel nervous, but he certainly felt his heart race at the suggestion. Addison was beautiful and attentive, but also demure and soft-spoken. To be the one to ask him to stay, with those hopeful and timid eyes struggling to meet his own, what could he possibly feel other than excited, honored, or special? He agreed, and the two made their way up the driveway, with him offering her his arm, earning yet another cute smile. The inside of the home was small and simply decorated, but warm and thoughtful. Nothing extravagant, just welcoming and comfortable. She took off her heels, he kept on his shoes, and they made their way to the cozy kitchen, where she opened a fresh bottle of wine, pouring each of them a glass. He was no sommelier, nor would he ever pretend to be. The wine could be $1,000 imported bottle, or a $5 local brand aged in just a few months. But he didn't drink the wine for its own sake, only because of the company. Addison was everything a man could hope for in a woman. Stunning, yet down to earth, aware enough of her beauty that she could accentuate it with her dress and makeup, yet naturally humble enough to both listen to and compliment others. Even in that kitchen, as the wine glasses were slowly emptied, as he regaled her with his obviously corny jokes, she laughed honestly and smiled wholeheartedly. And when the glasses were empty, in that sudden, meaningful silence, she looked up at him sheepishly and, finding some resolve, asked him if he might wait as she changed into something more comfortable. He gave her his warmest smile, told her of course he would wait, and watched as she overcame her anxiety and stepped gracefully toward her bedroom, her nylon-clad legs the last to disappear as she closed her door behind her. Exhaling softly, he whispered the words, "Walk into my parlor." Addison was perfect, a realistic perfection, not some untouchable idol upon a pedestal, but tangible flesh and blood. An inviting woman with a soft beauty and words that were wise yet lacking a condescending tone, a warmth and a smile that could melt the iciest of hearts. Addison was everything a man could want in a woman. He knew, however, about the shed in the backyard. No windows, padded walls, perfectly soundproofed. Drawers filled with all manner of sharp tools and implements that had no business being used in yard work. A reinforced cot with straps so strong they could restrain a bull, and a hose nearby for a quick cleanup. He had seen Addison for the spider she was, a predator, drawing prey into her web with the allure of her modest, everyday perfection. Yet her practiced perfection was nothing more than a lie. Or perhaps it wasn't all a lie. He couldn't read into the hearts and minds of others, and he couldn't really know which parts of her he had seen were real and which were an act. Just like he couldn't know why she did what she did to those she trapped in her web before. Whether it was the thrill of domination, the excitement of inflicting pain, the rush of watching the life drain from another's eyes, or merely the compulsion of a broken mind. The reason she had didn't matter, and would likely change depending on her mood, just like how her real name didn't matter, as she had shed them more often than a growing spider would molt, and how what she had put inside his wine didn't matter, since such chemicals could never pacify him or put him to sleep. He knew everything that mattered about Addison, or Mary, or Tara, or whatever her name might really be. She thought she had lured him in, but he had spotted her first, and seen her as kin. Not equals, but kin. Like how a cat appears kin to a lion, or a fish appears kin to a shark. Just as she had made herself appear appealing to deceive him, he had played the role of prey to lull her into a false sense of security. Not because he had to, but because he was curious. Humans saw themselves as superior, masters of the world, its apex predators. And he was curious to see how a predator reacted when it became prey. He stretched and felt his head bump the ceiling, felt the buttons of his shirt snap off into the ground, felt the skin he wore tear under the strain of his elongated frame, felt his jaw pop as his mouth widened. He bent his knees into his chest to give his body more room in the small house, tucked his elbows close so his lanky arms wouldn't reach from one end of the room to the other, and peered down the hallway, staring at Addison's door with a sharp, toothy grin. Their pleasant date night had come to an end. All that remained to be seen was whether the little spider would hide in the nest of her room when confronted with his true form, or scurry into the woods. As the door began to open, he realized he had no preference, just the irresistible desire to turn a predator into prey.